I was home alone one night, just minding my own business, when I heard the creepiest sound coming from the basement, like someone whispering my name. I kid you not, it was clear as day. "Jake, come down here." It all started around midnight. I was binge-watching some Netflix, enjoying the peace and quiet, when I suddenly heard this faint, whispery voice. At first, I thought it was just the show, but then I paused it, and the whisper continued. My blood ran cold. Let me set the scene for you. I live in an old house. The basement is this dark, musty place with creaky wooden stairs and barely any light. I rarely go down there except to store junk. Anyway, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check it out. Grabbing my phone for some light, I slowly made my way down those creaky stairs, each step sounding like it was about to give way. As I got closer, the whispering grew louder and more distinct. I was trembling, but I had to know what was going on. When I reached the bottom, I aimed my phone's flashlight around. The basement looked just as it always did. Old furniture, boxes of who knows what, and dusty shelves. But then, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. A small door in the far corner, partially hidden behind a stack of boxes. With my heart pounding, I moved the boxes aside and opened the door. It led to a narrow, pitch-black passage. The whispering was coming from inside. I stood there, debating whether I should go in or call the cops, but something compelled me to keep going. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The passage was so narrow, I had to turn sideways to fit through. The air was damp and smelled like mold. My phone's battery was draining fast, and the light was flickering. As I moved further in, the whispering got louder and more insistent. "Jake, Jake, come closer." I finally reached the end of the passage, which opened up into a small circular room. In the center was an old wooden table with a dusty leather-bound book on it. The whispering seemed to be coming from the book itself. I cautiously approached and opened it. The pages were filled with strange symbols and drawings, none of which made any sense to me. Suddenly, my phone's light went out, plunging me into darkness. I fumbled to turn it back on, and when I did, I saw something that made my heart stop. Reflected in the phone's screen was a shadowy figure standing right behind me. I whipped around, but there was nothing there. The whispering had stopped. Panicking, I bolted out of the room, through the passage, and up the stairs as fast as I could. I slammed the basement door shut and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. I haven't gone back down there since. I don't know what I heard or saw that night, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear faint whispering coming from the basement. But that's not even the end of it. Over the next few days, I started noticing weird things around the house. Doors would be open that I knew I had closed. Objects would be in different places from where I left them. And the whispering, it didn't stop. It became a constant, echoing in the background of my everyday life. I'd hear it while brushing my teeth, while cooking dinner, even when I was on the phone with friends. My friends thought I was losing it. "It's just your imagination," they'd say. But I knew something was seriously wrong. One night, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get rid of that book. Maybe then the whispering would stop. I gathered my courage and went back down to the basement. The small door was still there, just as I left it. I took a flashlight, some candles, and a lighter with me this time, just in case. As I made my way back to the small room, the whispering began again, more insistent and desperate. It was like it knew what I was planning to do. When I reached the room, the book was still on the table, looking even more ominous than before. I opened it again, flipping through the pages. Suddenly, the symbols and drawings began to make sense. They were telling a story of a man who had made a deal with some dark entity for power and knowledge. But he didn't fulfill his end of the bargain, and the entity cursed him, trapping his soul in the book until someone else took his place. I realized then that the whispering wasn't just random noises. It was the man, begging for someone to free him. But how? I had no idea what I was supposed to do. Then I noticed a final page, blank except for one sentence. "Burn the book and be free." I didn't think twice. I set up the candles, lit them, and placed the book in the center. I held the lighter to the edge of the book, watching as the flames began to consume the pages. The whispering grew louder and more frantic, turning into screams of agony. I felt a cold wind whip through the room. As the book burned, the screams faded, replaced by a deep, resonant silence. I waited until the book was nothing but ash, then hurried out of the basement, slamming the door behind me. For the first time in days, the house was completely silent. The next few nights were blissfully quiet. No whispering, no moving objects, no open doors. It was like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I thought it was over. I thought I was free. But then, about a week later, it started again. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a low, guttural growl coming from the basement, and it wasn't calling my name. It was laughing. I haven't gone back down there since. I don't know what's in my basement now, but I do know one thing. Whatever it is, it's not trapped in a book anymore, and it's not going to stop until it gets what it wants.